Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our today's webinar about intelligent security analytics with Azure Sentinel. On behalf of IT Analytics Switzerland and Microsoft, we would like to welcome you to this online event packed with information and details about this interesting Azure cloud service. My name is Charbel, Cloud and Security Architect at IT Analytics. Joining me today as a moderator in this webinar, Elena Placido, Cloud Solution Architect from Microsoft Ireland. We will be accompanying you for the next 60 minutes, and we will introduce you to Azure Sentinel. Some housekeeping before we start. The webinar language will be in English with subtitles and being recorded. You will receive the recording together with the information shown in the next 24 hours by email. If you have any questions, please use the chat window in this team session. We will try to answer all your questions during the webinar. If not, the answer will be sent to you together with the recording. Also, please note that we are working from home, so there may be some home background noise. And now let's start the webinar. The agenda for today. We will start first by introducing why cloud-native SIEM solution is such an important topic. Then we will discuss the different use cases and give you an overview about Azure Sentinel solution, which will address log management and incident investigation challenges. We want to mention that we have a small quiz ready for you. So please make sure you have a browser open next to you to participate. Next, we will show you two demos on how to use Azure Sentinel to help you get started and start modernizing your security operations. We will also share our customer story who is leveraging Azure Sentinel to achieve operation efficiency for their security operations center team. And finally, we end up by talking about our assessment solution and call to action. So before we start talking about Azure Sentinel, its intelligent security analytics, let's discuss first about the important characteristic of a security information and event management SIEM and security orchestration, automation, and response SOAR. So SIEM is a term used to describe a group of technologies that aggregate information about access controls and selected system activity to store for analysis and correlation. So SIEM is the centralized collection and aggregation of security and event logs from different systems, which allows the correlation of different events and early detection of attacks. And at the most basic level, a SIEM system can be rules-based or employ a statistical correlation engine to establish relationships between event log entries. And a SIEM system can also support early detection of advanced persistent threats. So SIEM and log analysis tool are two areas rapidly merging into one functional space today. The use of SIEM system is also beneficial as they map to and support the implementation of the critical controls for the effective cyber defense. And the log data should be protected with consideration given to the external storage of log data, be part of the backup and disaster recovery plan of your organization, and have a partition for tracking privileged user activity. A SIEM system can be set up locally or hosted in a cloud-based environment such as Microsoft Azure. The next generation SIEM, or what's known as cloud-native SIEM technology, such as Azure Sentinel, is based upon modern data lake technology that includes artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning. So having a large amount of low-cost space allows for longer retention of historical logs, which supports user and entity behavior analytics. So user and entity behavior analytics utilizes machine learning and behavioral profiling for deeper intelligence in identifying threats from a series of anomalies and trends. The capabilities of cloud-native SIEM support security orchestration, automation, and response technology that assist in identifying and responding to security incident in the Security Operation Center SOC. And now I will hand over to my co-moderator, Elena Placido, to talk about why Azure Sentinel. Please, Elena.
Thank you, Charbel. Sentinel is being developed thinking about the challenges that organizations face every day. Threats are increasing in volume and sophistication. There are advanced attack groups out there, but attackers are not infinitely sophisticated. They do constantly evolve, but they tend to invest only as it makes business sense to spend their time, money, or resources. Can't stop all attacks. Why we say this? A pure preventive strategy simply will not work with the volume of attacks and rate of evolution we see. At the same time, a pure detect and response strategy without meaningful investment into preventive controls can lock the bulk of your resources into repeatedly solving the same problems instead of making meaningful progress. We recommend a pragmatic balance of resource investments into prevention, detection, and response. Integration is required, but complex and costly. While the cybersecurity industry has developed many compelling individual point solution technologies and many potentially valuable threat feeds, organizations are currently suffering from the resultant integration challenges from this best-of-breed approach. Organizations are forced to adopt the cost and inefficiency of integrating security tools with each other and with threat intelligence feeds. This slows down response times and limits defender effectiveness. Humans and automation are both important players. Automation has the power to take away repetitive tasks from people and ensure they are executed consistently. But ultimately, we face human attack operators and need to have human judgment, adaptability, insight, and creativity in the process. Without this combination, you can't sort out the signal, so the real detections, from the noise, the false positives. So what is the key takeaway? The ever-changing threat environment is challenging, but there are ways to be more effective using the right blend of modern technology, strategy, and expertise. We have seen attacker methods that have been increasing in variety recently, along with attackers' overall investment and returns. Mass distribution malware has been with us for several decades. Tailored and targeted malware has evolved into malware targeted at individual organizations, which has matured into a mainstream attack method. And the past few years saw increased investment into evading file-based detection using PowerShell to load attack code directly into memory. And this is what we call a file-less malware. Recently, we have seen also the rise of leave off the land attack campaigns that involve no malware. These frequently target online software as a service, such as Office 365, and involve methods like social engineering, credential thefts, and native platform capabilities like a document download, target emails, delegation forwarding rules, and PowerShell scripts. So these are the malware-less attacks. So the SEC operation mission is protecting organizations' information and assets, and this is becoming increasingly difficult. Attack techniques, frequency, complexity are evolving fast, so security teams are under strain from the expanding breadth of defensive technologies, accelerating hybrid cloud adoption and borderless zero trust networks. Considering the future needs of security operations centers, these are the most prominent pain points. The threats continue to grow in complexity and volume, so attacks are increasingly heterogeneous. A typical attack spans different parts of the enterprise and crosses various resource types. It might start from an IoT device, proceed to an endpoint, spread to a cloud service or to a database, and involve multiple user accounts or tenants and so on. And the alert fatigue. Security operations centers see too many alerts from disconnected products. Enterprise SOC typically have dozens of security products, each producing a large volume of alerts. In isolation, these products often have high false positive rates and poor response prioritization, resulting in deafening alert noise. Attacks fall through the cracks despite generating alerts. Unfortunately, legacy SIEMs are functioning only as aggregators and do not increase response capabilities. Enterprise SOCs need a way to integrate their security products to reduce noise, prioritize alerts, and enable investigation and hunting across the entire dataset. There is a global shortage of security analysts and experience, so the need for skilled security professionals has greatly increased, and supply cannot meet current or future demand. Investigation is complex and also time-consuming. Every second counts when security personnel are handling a threat that might jeopardize their organization. The clock is ticking fast, but investigation requires highly skilled security analysts and can often take days or weeks. So current solutions are not architected for today's demands or tomorrow's. Legacy on-premise SIEMs require powerful hardware and extensive maintenance that make them expensive to operate. Storage and compute needs increase dramatically during an incident, which is difficult for an on-prem footprint to accommodate. And the move to the cloud has enabled a new degree of enterprise scale-out with the explosion of cloud-borne data. Legacy SIEMs are less and less able to cope with the demand. And with this, I will hand over to Charbel.
Thank you, Elena. We will now move to the small quiz that we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. So please go to menti.com browser and use the code as shown on the slide. So menti.com, and the code is 8076755. As you can see, this is the first question. What are the advantages of a SIEM system? So there are three possible answers for that question. So we'll give a couple of seconds. Good, we have answer one, breaches prevention. So the three answers are Valid, but the best answer. So what are the advantages of a SIEM system? Incident detection, 3 incident detection, and 1 breaches prevention. We have 1 visibility. Good. And now it's time to show the answer. 4 incident detection, 5 incident detection. Good. And the correct answer is incident detection. Good. We have 6 correct answers for what are the advantages of a SIEM system. So it's incident detection. The next question. What feature of a SIEM solution can simplify an organization's strategy for log retention in compliance? Reporting, aggregation, so what feature of a SIEM solution can simplify an organization's strategy for log retention compliance? It's a difficult question. 2 aggregation and 2 reporting. Okay. Couple 3 aggregation and 2 reporting. Oh, new answer, alerting. 4 aggregation, 1 alerting, and 2 reporting. 5 aggregation, 3 reporting, 6 aggregation. Good. And the correct answer is aggregation. Is the correct answer here. Because a SIEM solution aggregates logs together from across the enterprise, so an organization could implement log retention at the point of the SIEM solution and have a single source to retain and backup, versus having each device or system need to do its own log retention strategies. So aggregation is the right answer. Okay. Thank you. So now we'll move, Elena, into how.
Thank you, Charbel. So we have reimagined the SIEM and SOAR tool to introduce a new cloud-native solution called Microsoft Azure Sentinel, providing intelligent security analytics at cloud scale for the entire enterprise. Sentinel makes it easy to collect security data across the entire hybrid organization, from devices, users, applications, servers, and any cloud. It uses the power of artificial intelligence to ensure you are identifying real threats quickly and unleashes you from the burden of traditional SIEMs by eliminating the need to spend time on setting up, maintaining, and scaling infrastructure. Since it is built on Azure, it offers limitless cloud scale and speed, scaling automatically to address your needs. Traditional SIEMs have also proven to be expensive to own and operate, often requiring you to commit upfront and incur high costs for infrastructure maintenance and data ingestion. With Azure Sentinel, there will be no upfront costs and you will only pay for what you use. And we are offering free Office 365 activity data import to help you reduce security costs significantly. And also, security analysts face a huge burden burden of triage, as they not only have to sift through a sea of alerts, but also correlate alerts from different products manually or using traditional correlation engine. This is why Azure Sentinel uses state-of-the-art scalable machine learning algorithms to correlate millions of low-fidelity alerts to few high-fidelity security incidents. Azure Sentinel also includes user behavior analytics to help you identify anomalies, compromise identities, and malicious insider actions. Machine learning technologies will help you quickly get value from large amounts of security data that you are ingesting and connect the dots for you. For example, a compromised account leading to Office 365 mailbox exfiltration. It helps reduce noise drastically, and we have seen an overall reduction of up to 90% in alert fatigue with early adopters. And these machine learning models are built in and give you the benefits of decades of Microsoft security experience and ongoing knowledge from running hundreds of cloud services. You don't need to be a data scientist to run such models, and some security teams may need to customize machine learning based analysis, and they can even bring their own machine learning models in Azure Sentinel. So Azure Sentinel creates a connection to services application service by connecting to the log analytics agent or by configuring a data collection source in Sentinel. And Sentinel includes many built-in connectors for Microsoft and third-party sources. On the slide from the left, for example, the syslog server and log analytics agent enable data connector for Palo Alto, Cisco, and these are examples. And optionally, this data can be streamed with the proxy collector. With an agent, it is also possible to export Windows security events, Windows firewall events, and direct API is available to connect to Symantec Integrated Cyber Defense Exchange, Barracuda Web Application Firewall, and the big IP modules from F5. Direct connection allows to select logs to stream to Sentinel, for example, logs from Azure Active Directory, Azure Active Directory Identity Protection, Office 365, and Cloud App Security. Azure Sentinel can also consume telemetry data directly from a third-party SIEM like Splunk. It can make sense to use data from a third-party SIEM for correlation with available data sources in Azure Sentinel. And Azure Sentinel can be used as a single pane of glass to centralize all the incidents. When you add data to Splunk, the Splunk indexer processes it and stores it in a designated index, and it can be an index that you identify. It is possible to use these index data for the purpose of creating metrics, dashboards, and alerts. I will now hand over to Charbel for a Sentinel demo. Please, Charbel.
Thank you, Elena. And now we'll move to our first demo on how enabling Azure Sentinel. So here, actually, this is the first blade one you see when you log in to Azure Sentinel. And with any SIEM solution it's all start about getting your data in with data connectors. And so with Azure Sentinel, there is a bunch out-of-the-box connectors that you can use. As you can see, the list is very big. Microsoft is continuing to add to these connectors and working with partners to build connectors for their products. So we'll continue to see this list grow over time. So today we have over around 60 connectors. So the idea here is to make this as simple as possible to connect these products. So for a lot of Azure Cloud Native solution, you can easily hit connect. As you can see, this is Azure Active Directory Identity Protection. I have already this one connected. It would ask for authorization, assuming you have the right permission, and then the product will be connected. So you don't have to do anything special or any type of configuration. Obviously, for other things like third-party appliances on premises, like firewall and proxies, you need to use what's called Common Event Formats, CEF, which is basically using syslog to get that data. So you need to deploy a virtual machine as a collector, and there is a nice script here you need to run that will install the agent, and it will configure the box ready to collect for CEF. So Microsoft is trying to make this as easy as possible to get the data in. As you can see, we have also a bunch of third-party connectors like F5. They have built capabilities in their product to natively write data to Azure Sentinel. So Microsoft is encouraging vendors to do that as well. You can see here we have the Office 365, obviously all the Microsoft things, as well as third parties like Fortinet, Palo Alto, and some other big firewalls and proxy vendors. And also on the data connectors page, when you click on connector, for example, you can see kind of quickly the green light showing that it is connected. How much data you have been receiving in the last week. And you can click on the open connector page. And here you can see any connector configuration as well as under the next steps tab. You can see any recommended workbooks. I will talk about workbooks in the next demo. So workbooks actually are ways to visualize your data. You can see simple queries that you might want to run to see that data and any relevant analytics template based on that data set. But once you have that data connected, it's all about creating analytics rule so that you get alert on data that's coming in. And so I want to talk a little bit about different types of rule templates that are available in Azure Sentinel. So I'm going to sort this here by rule type. The first kind of the power of the cloud in with Azure Sentinel, there is a capability called Fusion. That uses machine learning to look and see if two alerts are part of the same attack kill chain. So here, the first one, out of the box, it will look and see if Azure Active Directory Identity Protection has a security alert, as well as Microsoft Cloud App Security, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint have a security alert, and see if they are part of the same attack kill chain. So it will fuse them together into one single incident for you. So this is the power you get of the cloud native SIEM solution. And the next type is a Microsoft Security Alert Rule. This is just basically saying that any alert that comes from Azure Security Center IoT, for example, go ahead and generate an incident for me. We can also filter these down by severity. Maybe you only want to see only the highs or mediums. You can filter out or filter any specific alert name you want, but these will create incident anytime you get an alert for one of those native Microsoft security products. Another type of machine learning that's available for you that you can enable in your environment is one such as this. So here they took in a machine learning model that's already available in Azure Active Directory to identify anomalous logins, and they applied it to SSH data that comes in via syslog. And so you get the same power of the machine learning applied to your syslog data. And now they can alert you when you have anomalous SSH login detection. The same rule for RDP machine learning detection and few others in the pipeline that Microsoft is currently working on. And the last type of rule that's available here is what we call the scheduled query rule. So this is your typical SIEM rule where you have a query that runs every X number of minutes against so much data and alerts if something is triggered inside of that query. So this is the first demo. Now we will talk about our customer case who is using Azure Sentinel. So we replaced recently a legacy SIEM system with Azure Sentinel for a big pharmaceutical company based in Basel. The company was using an on-premises solution, and they had some challenges on maintaining and operating their existing SIEM system. Some of these challenges is to ensure that all security alerts are getting investigated. They were facing a huge burden of alerts, which caused security alert fatigue, as Elena mentioned earlier. They want to respond to low-level incidents with automation, and they want also a flexible commitment and predictable cost for the overwhelming volumes of data. As you might know, most SIEM vendors offer annual or multi-tier contracts with capped ingestion and storage limits, which forces organizations to choose between paying more for capacity or putting a cap on the amount of data ingested, limiting visibility into their network. Another challenge was to reduce the maintenance and operation costs since the security operations team is not big. The environment consists of Microsoft 365, including OneDrive, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, and Exchange Online. They were, of course, using Microsoft Office 365 with Azure AD Tenant. They were leveraging Intune and SIEM. They had more than 100 Windows Server on-premises, more than 340 client endpoint devices, and more than 150 mobile devices. From the networking equipment, they have more than 50 Cisco switches and 2 redundant firewall appliances. And the data retention was set for 6 months, so 180 days. And the total number of users were 550 users. The customer had also a data sovereignty requirement to keep the data in Switzerland. So Azure Swiss region was chosen to store the data. Once Azure Sentinel was put in place and fine-tuned, their security operations teams were able to view all security logs, alerts, and incidents through a single pane of glass. And with the AI-powered correlation engine and threat hunting capability, the security analysts were able to prioritize view of the alerts, elevating high priority threats and reducing false positives. So they were able to respond more efficiently. And by moving to Azure Sentinel, they eliminated their legacy SIEM system, thus reducing licensing expenditure and eliminating costly on-premises infrastructure needed to store security log data. And with Azure Sentinel flexible consumption-based pricing model, they were no longer locked into long-term contracts and capacity limits. Now we'll move to the second demo, where I will show you 3 other areas in Azure Sentinel. So the second demo will show you the Azure Sentinel workbooks, playbooks, and entity behavior feature. So as I mentioned, workbooks are the way of visualizing your data. So you can see here I have a lot of different workbooks templates that are available. These are actually pulled from Microsoft GitHub repository, which I will also encourage you to check it out. But here you can contribute your own as well. As you can see, all the templates that are available in the environment, and so I can view this template, for example, security alerts that I have already saved to my environment. So I will choose this one. Here we can see all the different security alerts coming into our environment, as well as the different entities down here. So I have pulled out the top entities in security alerts and then summarize them into count. And some of the cool things that you can do here with workbooks is you can change the time range as a parameter. So here I have changed this to the last 28 days, for example. All of these different graphics will update based on that because I have set to use that as a parameter. I can also filter down by alert severity or product name. I have also set it up so that when you click on one of these parts, so if I click on highs, for example, it will pass that out as a parameter to the following parts. And so you can see here, all the security alerts by products are now only the highs. The graph is only the highs. Again, it passes all the way down to all the different web parts that we have. So you can visualize and drill down on them and use the data and filter it down pretty quickly. So here I have just want to see anything from Azure Sentinel. I will choose Azure Sentinel. Again, you can see it filtered down to show my severity alerts over time. And since it's all Sentinel, it's obviously all blue charts. So all one color versus multiple colors. And then here we can see different entities that came from Azure Sentinel, alert, and then kind of summary by type. You can see we have more IP addresses than account or URL in our environments. So this is the workbooks capabilities in Azure Sentinel. So the next one I will dive into what it is automation called playbooks. So playbook is the automation to respond to security alerts. This could be to enrich an incident. It could be blocking the user, could be opening a ticket in a Jira or ServiceNow, for example. So there are a lot kind of things you can do here. You can see here I have many different playbooks, but I will show you a simple one that I just created to show you the power of these playbooks. So I will take this one. Now, a couple of things about Logic App. If you are new to Logic App, you can view it in this design view, where it's very easy to add steps. You can search all of the native connectors. There are about 100 plus connectors. You can build your own connectors if you want. You can also see them in a code view. So if you have developers that want to write this in this way, this is called workflow definition language, but they can write them here as well. But personally, I much prefer the graphical designer way. As you can see here, so we are saying when a response to an Azure Sentinel alert is triggered, I'm getting the incident details, then getting the entities for the accounts, and then I'm getting the IP addresses. And then finally, I'm posting a message in Microsoft Teams for the security operation channel with this very simple message. This is one sort of way, very simple, that I'm posting a message in Teams with the details of the alert and the account and the login IP. So we can do more sophisticated and more automation with Logic App using playbooks. Next, we'll dive a bit into the new entity behavior feature, which was recently introduced to Azure Sentinel. So to leverage the user and entity behavior analytics known as UEBA, You first need to select which data sources you want to enable for entity behavior analytics. Here I have added all the supported logs, audit logs, Azure activity, security events, and sign-in logs. And once all the data is enabled, you hit apply. Then you can start look and see which account or host are identified by entity behavior. Then if you look at any of the alert, I will take the FSRV01, for example, you will see the identity details, the heartbeat of this machine, which Azure subscription, and the related security product. And the great thing, you can browse to the entity directly by using this link. And if you click on investigate, you will see the same graph when investigating an alert in the incident blade in Sentinel. So Microsoft built this investigation dashboard to kind of change the way security analysts respond or investigate the incident. So you can quickly, real-time, run a query underneath and pull back the results for the related events. The last thing that I'll show you is how to, very simple, if you want to disable user behavior analytics, you can go under settings tab, and then toggle the switch on and off for the entity behavior analytics. So this was recently added to Azure Sentinel. So this wraps up our second demo. Now a bit about IT Analytics and our Azure Sentinel offering for today. IT Analytics has been successfully active in the Swiss IT service market for over 10 years. Since 2018, we have been 100% subsidiary of the Swisscom Group, but we are completely independent as so-called Microsoft Cloud Boutique. Our focus is exclusively on Microsoft 365 and Azure services. A further mainstay is our support within the framework of user and business adoption with our transformation services. With around 60 employees in 3 locations, Zurich, Bern, and Lausanne, we support our customers on their journey to the cloud. To this end, we have been awarded 10 gold and 2 silver competencies by Microsoft and have received numerous awards in the recent year. We are only the only Swiss Microsoft Azure partner with dual competencies, the Azure Windows Server and SQL Server migration and Windows Virtual Desktop Advanced Specialization, which we completed with distinction. We work in a structured manner and according to clear methodology in 4 so-called service model. With our advisory services, we create the necessary basis for decision-making and the understanding of why, how, and with what approach your journey to the cloud should be planned. With workshops, solution assessment, or the development of a decision matrix for a planned cloud migration, use cases are identified, sharpened, prioritized, calculated, and checked for the business value and feasibility. This provides you with a clear basis for making decision for the next step, implementation. Our architects and specialists will support you in the work and deed in the implementation of the identified use cases as various processes in operation and support change in the course of a journey to the cloud. So IT Analytics also offered a corresponding operational support, whether it be with managed services for workplace or Azure cloud infrastructure, or at a contact point for support questions regarding this platform. Here we see enormous value for your IT organization because your specialists have to take care of the exciting, interesting further development of your business platform and not on the monotonous operation of the infrastructure. So we take care of that for you. So 2020 has been a transitional year for all of us, leading in broad changes in how and where we work. Security operations SecOps teams face more significant challenges than ever as they protect the organization in this rapidly changing environment. So these teams need a flexible, cost-effective, and efficient solution to empower their employees, improve security, and optimize cost against rapidly changing threats. In this context, we offer you the Azure Sentinel solution assessment with the scope of this webinar at a fixed price. With Azure Sentinel, pre-built playbook, queries and data connection, and free ingestion from Many Microsoft solutions, such as Office 365, Azure Activity Logs, and alerts from Microsoft 365 Defender and Azure Defender solution, you can start using Azure Sentinel with minimal effort and scale up from there. To help you take advantage of this integrated security and cloud-native approach, Microsoft is currently running a new Azure Sentinel benefit for Microsoft 365 E5 customer. If you are an existing E5 customer, please follow up on this with us for more details. I would like also to mention that Forrester just released a new study about Azure Sentinel efficiency, which address the cost saving and business benefits by adopting Azure Sentinel as your cloud native SIEM solution. I highly encourage you to check it out. This is huge. The link to download this study is shown on the slide, aka.ms/TEI study. Gartner report is also coming very soon. Many customers have asked about it, so stay tuned. More details for your call to action and about Microsoft Solution Assessment now from my co-moderator, Elena Placido. Please, Elena.
Thank you, Charbel. Solution Assessment is a Microsoft initiative which aims to support organizations who want to migrate to the cloud or improve their existing cloud services. It is a process that is kicked off by a nomination submitted by your Microsoft account team and allows these solution assessments to be carried out by existing certified partners and funded by Microsoft. The areas that are covered are very different and heterogeneous, from data migration to Azure Foundation and to cybersecurity assessments, not only in the area of Azure, but also in the area of modern workplace and dynamics assessment. If you are interested in learning more about Microsoft Solution Assessments, you can reach out to your Microsoft account team or to ITnetics contacts that Charbel will be sharing with you in a moment. Please, Charbel.
Thank you, Elena. So this brings us to the end of the webinar on intelligent analytics with Azure Sentinel. We hope that we have been able to bring this interesting cloud native SIEM solution in Azure a little closer to you. And thank you very much for your interest and attention. Please, you can still write your question in the chat window in the next few minutes or send them to us by email to info@itnetics.ch. We are here to support you on modernizing your security operations, so please don't hesitate to contact us. We would be very pleased to hear from you in our next webinar, which will be held on the topic of Windows Virtual Desktop and 3D applications, together with our partner Desktop Studio. The webinar is planned for early February 2021. And with that, we wish you a wonderful holiday season to you and your family. Thank you very much and goodbye.